Greetings and salutations from the Illumination.
I'm Kelly.
And I'm Richard.
And we're a couple from the north of England. We're here to share with you our experiences and journey of Lorcana.
So with Rise of the Floodborn about to release, we decided, although there's a couple of cards still to be shown, to go through our top 10 of the set that we think will have the biggest impact upon the meta in the coming months. We do have a few extras. Should we kick off with those honourable mentions before we go into the top 10?
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so one of my honourable mentions is Hypnotise the Action card. I did think that this was a really good card and it should be included in a lot of decks. Obviously it's low cost, the opponent discards a card and you draw a card. It's pretty self-explanatory. You're gaining, they're not.
Yeah, I think that we saw with You Have Forgotten Me from chapter 1 how important sort of discard is as a mechanic and the card advantage that you gain from it. This looks the emerald equivalent of that card, and I imagine it'll be a staple in most emerald decks.
Yeah.
My first honourable mention is Cinderella, the one-drop singer from Amber. She's nothing sort of special stat-wise, but she can drop on the first turn and be singing straight away then on the second turn. A free-cost song, I think, can open up some big combos, and Cinderella may get more mentions later on as well.
Another that I wanted to discuss is Goofy, Night for a Day. I know that obviously there was a lot of hype when he first was mentioned and it was, a love or hate sort of thing. But I do think, he's solid stats. Yes, he's vanilla, and I know we talk about vanillas as if, they're quite boring. But, I mean, why would you not want him in your deck if you were playing a steel deck?
Next one I've got is one that I spoke about in one of the earlier videos. Not quite made my top 10, but I did really rate him, and that's Bucky.
Okay.
The squirrel. Still think he's amazing. Just didn't quite creep into my top 10, but I think the use of him with some of the Floodborn cards that have now been revealed could be a great card for Emerald.
Didn't you rate him as an S tier as
well? I've got a lot of S tiers in my top 10.
Yeah, and I thought I was going a bit overboard with mine. I think I have 6 in there. Okay, yeah. So the next card I would like to talk about is Mickey Mouse Friendly Face. I just like the whole idea of
cheating characters out.
Yeah, getting them out as fast as possible, and just the law gain on the card's decent as well. Yeah,
it's one I actually totally overlooked when I was thinking about this top 10. So surprised he's not one of the ones I'm going to be mentioning. But there's definitely potentials to get something out pretty quickly, or just dropping something like a free cost out every turn.
Yeah, and I think with regards to the willpower side of him, yes, he has got that good sort of 6 willpower there, but potentially with anything like something silly like a Simba bodyguard, I think it would really be beneficial, and it would stay in play for quite a while if he's protected. Yeah,
it's going to take a while to take him down. You need a Maui or something of that.
Yeah.
To be getting rid of him. Next one I've got is sort of a similar card to yours, although it is an action. It's Zero to Hero. Well, it's a song rather than action. This is one that the action from the first set that didn't quite make it just in time. That initially when the first chapter 1 came out, a lot of people were trying to use just in time to make a deck, and it's appeared in a few, but always felt like a dead card in hand if you didn't get it in your initial one. So Zero to Hero could go the same way, but I think it's worth the risk. I like this one.
So the next one that I want to talk about is Basil, the Great Mouse Detective. Initially, that stuck on him. I do like his little helicopter.
Yeah, he really should have evasive.
Yeah, we had this conversation, didn't we? Yeah. Because of him flying. Yeah. I was thinking about, with the Sapphire deck, about potentially the ink well and how you quickly put extra ink into there. And so I was hoping that potentially you'd be able to shift him on turn 4. Yeah, turn 4. That'll work, wouldn't it?
Yeah, potentially.
Yeah. I just like the idea of obviously drawing the 2 cards when he enters play. He's got decent stats on top of that, and then the login. He's gaining 3 law each turn.
Yeah, Sapphire, like from the first set, it was one of the 2 that really sort of suffered with card draw. Only really had Robin Hood beforehand, so things like Basil into the set really should ramp Sapphire up the colour list. He's not made my list, but I do like him as a card.
Yeah.
My last honourable mention is the 5-drop for Amber Mufasa, which I think is an interesting one. He's a legendary, and he's got the he's one of them that's got the potential to cheat out something like Goofy that you mentioned.
Yeah.
But I think you'll probably see play in an Amber Amethyst deck, because Amethyst has got a number of characters or items where you can end up seeing what the top card of your deck is. So using him with like an Ursula's Cauldron, you're putting a really nice character on the top of your deck, and then sacrificing your Mufasa, RIP. Then you can bring out a really decent character with it. And that's it for our honourable mentions. So let's get straight into the Big Ten.
Okay, so my top 10. Number 10 for me is Scar Vicious Cheetah. I think I gave it a tier rating of A, which I've still got it the same. I just like the surprise element of him. It's a decent, solid card. He's uninkable, which I don't usually like, but I do really like all of his stats.
I think I had him as a C on that initial rating. Possibly gone up a little higher. I think there's a few other cards since that video that have been revealed that have a bit more synergy with him. My 10th drop is a Perfect Gentleman. He's Donald Duck. I think when he came out, saw a bit of a mixed reaction. Start of your turn, each player may draw a card. I think that's really powerful. I think the fact that it's on your turn rather than on each player's turn gives you, firstly, the first card advantage from it. The fact that you're playing Emerald, the opponent is always under the thought of, should I draw a card and the additional card or not? Because majority of the time they're going to go straight into the discard. I think he's got a huge body with 5 willpower. He's 4, he's inkable, he quests for 2, he shifts for 3. What's not to like about Donald Duck?
So why is he at number 10 for you?
Because I've got 9 better ones.
Okay, fair enough. Number 9 for me is Christopher Robin Adventurer. There's a few cards that I've been looking at in top 10 and that we've been talking about in the past couple of videos that potentially make me want to deviate away from the Ruby Amethyst deck that I've been playing. I have obviously played other decks, but not as much as I had with that. And this is potentially one of... I think that Christopher Robin is a game changer if you can keep your characters in play so that you've got them 2 characters on board, so that you can gain 2 lore every time you ready this character.
I'd be looking straight away to put him in an Ambi-Ruba deck and using things like Shield of Virtue and LeFou. I think there's a couple more that have come out in the new set where you've been able to ready characters. You want to clearly be ready as much as you possibly can.
But I even thought with bodyguards again, that would be really helpful. You've got Maximus in Amber and Simba as well. Yeah,
Maximus is the bodyguard. His stock's certainly risen from a lot of the cards in this set. There's quite a few things that work both with support and with his bodyguard. My number 9 is a sapphire action. It's an uninkable one, but it's Falling Down the Rabbit Hole, which got Alice from Alice in Wonderland on, and that's each player chooses one of their characters and puts them into the inkwell face down and exerted. The reason I put this one in is this is a Cuzco killer.
Okay. Right, okay, yeah, that makes sense, yeah.
Because it's not targeted, the owner of the card has to choose one of theirs. So if their only character out in play is Cuzco, it's bye-bye Cuzco, which has been a problem for a lot of decks, is that characters with Ward are quite tricky to get rid of, especially when they're onto 17 lore and they drop a Cuzco, it's pretty much game over at that point. Yeah. But Falling Down the Rabbit Hole solves that problem.
Number 8 for me is Belle Hidden Archer. And we talked about it in the last video. I just think that she's a very good card against card-drawn decks. She's a character that you don't want to leave on the board, but at the same time, do you want to lose all of your cards to get rid of her? Yeah, you need a card that you need to sort of build your deck around, and you need to have actions like The Beast Is Mine in there, or John Silver, so that you're forcing characters to be attacking the Belle. But if she hits, that's potentially game over for the opponent. They lose 4 or 5 cards out of their hand early on. It's going to be a struggle to come back for certain decks. A control deck especially. So they've not managed to get a
a mirror out or any other form card draw, it's going to be hard for them to recover. So that was your
Number 8.
Number 8.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, my number 8 is another Sapphire action. Bigging up the Sapphire at the moment.
Yeah.
This one is a 1-cost action. It only came out a couple of days ago, and when it did, it caused a fuss. Nothing to hide. Which is each opponent reveals their hand and draws a card. Now, a lot of people mentioned certain cards out of Magic the Gathering that were considered broken at the time. Technically, isn't quite a matchup for that card. The second, it can be used as a 0 cost, so a real true cantrip. This is more like the card Peak from Magic the Gathering, which is because it's costing you the 1. So you're losing your first turn to do it. Sapphire, though, there's not a huge amount you want to be doing on first turn for Sapphire. You can drop a Flounder if you wish, or the new Owl alternative. But it's not like the other colours where you're wanting to get something quick onto the board. So Nothing to Hide, great card, turns your deck into a 56-card deck, and immediately you're getting to see what the opponent is planning to do, which is the most important thing. Lorcana is a bit different than other card games in that a lot of the games you don't often see a lot of the cards. Mm-hmm. So being able to immediately see what their opening hand is, and if you're then playing it with something like Steel, you're playing a whole new world. If that's a powerful hand that they've got, get rid of it as soon as you can. If it isn't a powerful hand, they're going to be stuck with it. It's great. Mm.
My number 7 is Beast Relentless. I like the very simple ability on the card where you're able to, whenever an opposing character is damaged, you may ready this character. I like the stats on it. It just works really well. Just ping, 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 ping. Let's kill some people. Let's damage some people.
Yeah, it's a great combo card. I think when it came out, I said it reminded me of Aerial Collector Chapter 1, but hopefully a better version of that. It's one of the few characters that, when readied, can quest again. You've got the potential there on what's known as an OTK of a 1-turn kill with it. You've got the option of doing it just through questing, or I'm wondering if there's the potential there for a 1-turn mill deck with it, because of the fact that it can sing a whole new world multiple times in one turn. Yeah, it's a good card. Didn't make me 10.
Didn't
No. No, we've not had any matchups yet, have we?
No.
My number 7 is same colour, Emerald.
Yeah.
I have gone though for a new one that's again, the last couple of days, which is The Witch. It's a 3-drop, and when it's in play, it can't quest itself.
Okay.
But you can exert it and discard a character from your hand to get the printed lore value as lore gain. It's a different win condition. Mm-hmm. You're winning without questing, and straight away to this coming out, we had the shifted version of Flynn Rider appear, which gets you 4 lore printed on the card, although if anybody has any cards in their hand, it starts dropping down, but the Witch does not care about that. You've got Goofy, that's already been seen, that's a 4 lore gain, so you're not having to worry about to get all the way up to 9 ink to be playing Goofy, because you can just get rid of him out of your hand. Mickey Mouse, Bacon, Lettuce, Tomato. There's multiple options to be using the Witch with. I'd probably lean towards Emerald Ruby deck, similar to with your Christopher Robin. The fact that Ruby has that option to ready the Witch multiple times in one turn could you potentially gaining. You've got 3 Mickey Mouse BLTs. Mm-hmm. That's 12 lore gain in one turn with her.
Yeah.
So that could be a really quick surprise win there. Mm-hmm. Number 6.
Surprise, surprise. Look who ended up in my top 10.
I'm just seeing, and I can't believe it.
So this is a character that Richard had put in his S tier when we recorded the video.
And Kelly wasn't even a fan back then.
I think I put him either a B or a C. He's still on the borderline. I have put him as an S on my little sheet, but he is number 6, so he's a low S, if that's such a thing. It's Bucky, the squirrel squeak. That's so difficult to say as well.
Well, I thought Geordie especially.
With the amount of Floodborn characters that we're starting to see coming into the game, the ability is starting to become amazing for me.
Yeah, I seem to recall when we first reviewed it as well that you were saying, no, there's not many Floodborn in the game. And I was like, you do realise what the name of this set is, don't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
But I think at the time, how many cards we were looking at that
There's
time.
still quite a number that are still uninkable, which is the problem. But there are quite a few now that there's synergy for there.
Yeah. I think at the time though we were looking and there was like 70 odd cards available to see. And I think there was only 15 that were Floodborn, so I was like, not quite sure.
Yeah, well, the new Flynn Rider, he's a Floodborn. He only costs 4, so you can easily be following up with him. Donald Duck is Floodborn, so there's a few already in. So my number 6 is a rather large troll. It's Grand Pabby, who, whenever you remove 1 or more damage from your characters, you can gain 2 lore. He quests for 3 himself. He's a chunky boy with 6 willpower. Perfect for Amber Sapphire, which I think is going to be one of the main contenders, potentially a tier A deck coming out in the new season. So yeah, my number 6. Number 5.
Here's one where we're actually matching, not the same number, of course. He's appeared as well for me. So this is Donald Duck, Perfect Gentleman. I've got him as my number 5 slot. He's just got great stats for a 4-cost character. And he has that all-important card draw ability.
My number 5 is possibly the best artwork in the set. Can you guess what that is yet?
Is it Cheshire Cat?
It is Cheshire Cat. Oh, wow. As soon as that was revealed, it was like, it really sort of gave off that just great sort of Lewis Carroll, are these characters potentially on acid? Love the artwork and the character itself, the 2 baby Cheshire Cats are both decent cards. Neither sort of pull up roots, but you definitely want to keep them now in your deck to play this Cheshire Cat. Immediately leans towards going in Emerald Steel with lots of like little ping damage. Where I saw it was with the police officer from Zootopia.
Chief Bongo, what is he called? Bozo.
Yes.
Yes.
That one. And when he comes into play, he does 1 damage to all opposing characters. So you play him on turn 4. You've already got the Cheshire Cat out on turn 3, so then you can shift out this Cheshire Cat on turn 5 and immediately banish their best character on their side. And he's evasive and he's questing for 2. And every single turn, if you're not questing, you can be killing something there. It's a great card. Number 4.
In my 4 slot, I have Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo. Which is quite difficult to say. I mean, we talked about it. It was the subject of our first video. And I just really like the card. I think it's a key component to any Emerald deck. And it can fit into, a combination of different Emerald sort of mix-ups.
One thing I've noticed, though, already is we noticed which colours we're talking about more and which colours we're talking about less.
And it's massively pushing me towards either Emerald or Amber decks, but more towards Emerald at the moment.
We're top heavy on Emerald, without doubt.
And I already started to get into Emerald a little bit and mix it with the Amethyst, but now I think the Amethyst will be completely gone and it will just be Emerald with a mixture of something else. I don't know what that will be at the moment.
Number 4 is one that I think when we talked about it in the first video, and I couldn't decide between this and another character for which was the A tier and which was the S tier. I've stuck by my decision on which one I'm keeping in, but I could easily replace this for the other one in this slot. So I've gone with the Merlin Rabbit. It could be the Merlin Goat.
Okay.
I think they're both staples in a Emerald Amethyst bounce deck. How many cards you could potentially draw off this in one game is off the scale. It's just going ding 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 ding, draw. There's your deck. You might be able to even outpace an Emerald discard deck with this one. As we saw with Amethyst in chapter 1, where Maleficent was so important to the Amethyst deck, this is going to be so important for Amethyst going forward from this set. Number 3.
So, another one that we have in our top 10 together. I have at number 3, Cheshire Cat from the Shadow.
Oh, what?
Well, I'd put amazing artwork. Obviously, it can shift onto either of the little Cheshire Cats. Being able to combine the banish ability with characters who cause ping damage is just a massive, massive thing. And the fact that it's evasive and, you know, it's decent with the stats as well. Really, really good overall card, I think.
Yeah, I think the fact that it's got evasive really makes it so much more powerful because so many cards that have an exert ability. We saw the Amethyst Queen, and initially we thought this is a really good card because every turn you're going to be able to draw a card with it. But anything that once it's exerted, it lasts 1 or 2 turns, and then the opponent's got rid of it. But with it being evasive, it's so much harder to then remove. So, the card advantage that you can get out of this card is going to be hopefully quite high. My number 3 is I've gone back to Sapphire for Cogsworth.
Okay, I had a feeling that you would say him.
Yeah, I like him. I think he enables a lot of other cards. The fact you can get him out early on turn 3, he's got ward, so he's protecting himself from being targeted, and that he gives resist to everything. He just ticks so many boxes of being a great protection card for whatever you're wanting to do with your deck. Yeah, great combo enabler.
It does look quite cute as well.
Number 2.
Okay, so number 2 for me is Madam Mim Purple Dragon, which I did put as an S tier in the first video.
Did you put him as an S tier first?
Yes.
I thought I had him as an S tier.
I think we both did.
I think I put him at A.
Right. I think I've got a soft spot for Amethyst because of playing it, and I just thought, wow, just overall abilities. There's nothing not to like, you know.
Well, the fact that you've lost 2 cards to play it is like.
But if you're combining that potentially with some kind of bounce deck, then it's not losing 2 cards; it's actually gaining something for it.
Yeah, you've got to build around it. It's not a card that is like it's a 7-drop and you can just throw her into any deck. It's a very specific deck that you've got to build her into, but really powerful if you do that.
Well, yeah, if you can get her out, she's perfect.
Yeah.
Just about. Yeah, she's got evasive. She's hefty for stats anyway, and gaining 4 law each time you quest. Just don't see where you can go wrong with her, really.
Yeah.
Obviously, as long as you build your deck around her.
Yeah, I'd still stand by what I originally said of putting her. I know a lot of people are using her with Emerald on Pixelborn and to great success. I think a lot of people that initially were poo-pooing her are now turning around and realising, she is really quite powerful. Put her in my top 10.
Did you forget her?
No, I don't think I forgot her, but...
You're more focused on things that you want to do, I'm thinking.
No, I definitely want to make a deck with her.
Okay, fair enough.
I really like the bounce deck, and I think it's one of 3 real contenders for being the best deck going forward. 3 or 4 decks, actually. But yeah, she's a great card. Just there's so many good cards.
Yeah.
It was hard. Like I got it down to 14, and there was a good sort of 5 or 6 more that I could have easily made a top 20 from this. There'll be a card that's 20th that in a couple of weeks' time could have in my top 5.
Yeah.
As soon as they start seeing play, then we really start to see the power of these ones.
And I think it's just even like seeing people's initial reactions to things, and even my initial reaction, say for instance from Bucky. Once you actually start looking and thinking and realising what you could actually go with, that's when you start to see the worth.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's your number 2?
My number 2 is... This is my only steel card in the top 10. But what a steel card. Cinderella. I think it was one of the first cards to be revealed for the set, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Because it was sort of like that was showing off the resist mechanic. When it first came out, immediately people were saying, wow, that is powerful. Now that we've got the baby versions of the Cinderella to get her out even quicker, it's looking amazing. I came up with a little combo the other day for this, which was play the Cinderella Singer on turn 1. On turn 2, play a Simba Bodyguard. And then on turn 3, use the Simba Bodyguard to play 0 to hero to bring out the Cinderella, shifted onto your Singer Cinderella. And then with this big Cinderella, then play a whole new world on turn 3. From that, you've got this 5/5 body with resist 2 that can challenge characters that are readied. If you play a song, you've got a bodyguard out there to protect it, and you've got 7 new cards in your hand, whilst they've probably played 2, which at that point I think the opponent would pack up the cards and call it, let's go into game 2.
You shouldn't be telling people your trade secrets.
Yeah, that's possibly the first deck I'm going to be playing as this new set comes out.
So anyone that we end up in tournaments with, just keep your thinking cap on about what he might be playing.
It's a 5-card combo, so it's not an easy one to do. But there's so many other, it's Amber Steel, which is a great deck anyway. It's just sort of tweaking around some of the cards from that deck. Cinderella is going to be strong. She shuts down so many decks that are going to be out there. So my number 2. Didn't quite get number 1. What's your number 1 then? Let's go with a big one.
Well, there was someone that you were talking about earlier on who has managed to hit my number 1 slot.
Right.
It's Grand Pappy, the oldest and wisest. So yeah, because he's the wisest, he should be my number 1.
All right. Okay. Is that how we're ruling now?
Yeah, just removing damage from other characters and gaining lore from doing it. He's a solid card. He's gaining lore.
Yeah, but you want more than solid.
He is. He's massive. He's just got great stats, great lore gain. Just from questing, like without even using his ability. What's not to love about him? I really do think that he is a really good example of an S tier.
Yeah, I think my only concern with him, and I don't have many concerns with him. I do think he's a great card. He's clearly up there near the top for me as well. Is the fact he's a 7-cost uninkable, and Sapphire already has, probably the best card from Chapter 1 for Sapphire was Hades, who's also a 7-drop uninkable. Yeah. And I don't know if you could play both of them in the deck. Okay. So you're sort of like you're losing out on one of the top 2 cards Sapphire. But I don't know if you're playing a deck with Grand Pappy in, if that's the same sort of deck that you would put Hades in. Yeah. It feels like a different style deck anyway. I think it lends itself more to Amber Sapphire going wide and just keep healing as much as you can every turn.
Yeah.
Yeah, great card. My number 1.
Okay.
Did you guess?
Roll.
Yeah. Can you guess? Can you remember what it is? Can you guess what it is?
I even think it's gonna be one of. Is it one of mine that I've said?
It is one of yours.
What? Is it Scar?
No.
I was gonna say
Ruby has not made my top 10.
Yes,
Has not made my top 14. I think Ruby has been shafted, unfortunately, this set. There's not. I don't like the direction it's particularly gone in. All these little self-damage, self-sacrifice. I could be completely wrong, but that's sort of the general gist I'm seeing on the internet as well. That Ruby, which I felt was one of the weakest colours in the first set, it got the rub off Amethyst in one of the strongest decks. But that was only really, there's only a few cards that were getting used from Ruby in that. Your Be Prepared, your Maui's, your Dragonfires.
Yeah. But
Ruby, I think, is struggling at the moment. It's still a second legendary to be revealed, and that could turn it round. Yeah.
Okay, this is my last guess then. Is it Belle Hidden Archer?
No.
No? What?
Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo.
I forgot that you hadn't had that one. Yeah.
Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo, which I stick by as being busted or broken. Any card, character-wise, has to now consider, on the design of it, has to consider this going forward. There's so many different triggers that you can do with it, with creatures that come into play. I think it's going to be a staple in any Emerald deck. We're going to see a lot of broken combos, busted combos coming off the back of it in this set. So that's my number 1. I think it'll be interesting to look back on this video sort of like 1 or 2 months into the set and just see what a disaster we did.
Yeah.
And like, how on earth did we think this was S tier? Why on earth we didn't think of a certain card? We might be somehow looking back and thinking, why didn't we mention the Sorcerer's Spellbook or the Amber Queen, who's just seen a one-drop version revealed, so you can get out the shifted version on turn 2, which looks pretty powerful. We could be looking at in a month's time that the Snow White and Dwarf meta has completely overtaken the game, and somebody thinking that Doc, happy, grumpy, tipsy,
Sleepy, all of them, yeah.
all of them as suddenly super powerful and is unstoppable. There's cards like Prince John we've not mentioned, a great one. Pack Tactics is one that I've heard a few people sort of mention that is a very sort of surprise law game win. Nothing really from, as I was saying about Ruby though, there's so few that are sort of standing out. The one that I considered, which is a bit left field, is just because I love playing Rapunzel, is the new Mother Gothel card, which is one that enters play with 3 damage already applied to her. So she straight away she's draw 3 cards with Rapunzel if she survives a turn.
Yeah.
So I like that combo. What was the other Ruby one that I considered? The Shere Khan. I love the artwork of. It's by Matthew Robert Davies. I think is the lead artist for Lorcana.
I have no idea on that part.
He's already done some absolutely stunning pieces like Elsa from the first set.
Okay.
And his abilities, whenever one of your characters challenges another character, gain 1 law. There's potential with that. And as I say, the artwork really reminds me of one of my favourite paintings, which is Tiger in a Tropical Storm. But Matthew has told me it wasn't based on that, it's just coincidence.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I think it's just going to completely change, the same as, like, we were talking the meta decks in the first chapter. The Ruby Amethyst at the start is completely different to what it was, just a month ago or this week. Everything's changing constantly. All the metas are changing, like who's top of it. It's just constantly changing, and now you're throwing double the amount of cards into play. It's just going to be a mixed match, and I think you'll see a lot more of individual decks of what people have creatively made themselves.
Yeah, well that's it. It's like for every single colour you now got twice the options in there. So for every single sort of, I've got this many spaces for 2 drops in a deck. All of a sudden, like for steel decks, Prince Eric looks like he's going by the wayside. For emerald decks, Mad Hatter probably hasn't got a chance of getting into an emerald deck in the 5 slot anymore. There's so many better cards now than Mad Hatter. So even established decks are going to be evolving quite a bit, because there's new cards that have come in and replacing, and a lot of the vanilla ones that you sort of just filled your deck with are we going to be seeing the likes of a Kronk in the deck anymore? That's about it for this video. We've got a few more coming out, hopefully before the release next week. It's midnight on Thursday next week. We're going to a midnight launch, which I'm very excited by. Hopefully going to film us opening. We've got a booster box each, which we're very chuffed about. And we've also got another friend that's going to be opening his booster box on film. He's managed to get him to agree to that.
Yeah. Fabulous.
So we're going to be opening 3 booster boxes on the show. And we've also got, you got 2 starter decks.
Yes, I got 2 starter decks.
I was very lucky and got the Disney 100 Trove.
Even though I wanted it.
Well, we both placed an order for it, and somehow I was the one that wangled it.
It's always the case.
But yeah, that's about it from us, is it?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Thank you so much for watching.
And see you soon.
Thanks.
Click the like and subscribe.
Oh yes, please.